හරිම සුමුදුයි.
Tonight on First at 9, this Wednesday, the 21st of February 2024. Parliament tensions. Contention in Parliament as dispute over central bank salary increments. Miscellaneous statements take centre stage. Power promise. New proposal on electricity tariff reduction forwarded to the PUCSL for ratification. Inflation woes. Consumer price soar in January as inflation spikes by 2.3% following the wet hike. Dollar debt. Sri Lanka takes next step in economic resurgence with a restructuring proposal to dollar bondholders. And Sumathi Awards. The Derana Media Network aggressively dominates the Sumathi Awards night, reaffirming trust as the people's #1 channel.
ඔබේ විශ්වාසය දෙනු සෙන්සුරයින් දැන් ළඟමැති ෆාමසින් ලබාගත හැක.
From Ada Derana, this is Ada Derana First at 9 with Ndivari Amuata and Mahish Johnny. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
A very good evening, everyone. Welcome to First at 9, where we bring you the latest here at home and from all around the world. If you want to know what happened today, well, this is the place to be. A very good evening in Very busy in Very tonight, as always.
As always. A very good evening to all of you. Good evening, Mahesh. We have much to report tonight. You saw our headlines, and most importantly, it's terrible that the resolution proposed at the UN Security Council for a cessation of hostilities in the Gaza Strip has been vetoed by the United States, and there is China slamming the United States together with other countries that they are helping continue this bloody war, plus the entire world is
exactly because apparently even though the United States talk a big game in terms of humanitarian aid and all, when it comes to real action at the Security Council, we are the ones who vetoed it. But then there are other stories here at home as well. Electricity tariffs might go down. The proposal is now has been forwarded to the PUCSL. And of course, as we have to be proud as the Derana Media Network, because we actually slammed a lot of awards at the Sumathi Awards.
Certainly. I mentioned this last night as we began the news. Other Derana and TV Derana, together with other media agencies of the Derana Media Network, bagged many awards at the Sumathi Tele Awards, and what was also touching was the lifetime recognition given to one of our very senior artists, a musician, Priya Surya Sen.
Indeed. So let's begin tonight's bulletin with our nation's parliament and bring you up to speed as to what happened there. Now, the recent salary increments of central bank employees was a hot topic of debate in Parliament today. Chief Opposition Whip Lakshman Kadragamara, who continued to question the government regarding the increment, requested that State Minister of Finance Ranjit Siyamalapitiya summon CBSL officials before Parliamentary Committee for an inquiry.
Meanwhile, Minister of Tourism, Lands, Sports and Youth Affairs Harin Fernando took independent parliamentarian Vimal Veerawansa to task after he accused Fernando over his remarks, where the minister said that Sri Lanka is a part of India, as disappointing and embarrassing. Fernando said that not only India but Sri Lanka too welcomes any country willing to invest in the island nation, highlighting that developed countries such as Singapore, Dubai and Malaysia have heavily benefited from foreign investments.
At today's parliamentary session, independent parliamentarian Udayagamma Pilla tabled the 22nd Amendment to the Constitution as a private member's bill. The bill aims to remove police powers from provincial councils.
ගරු කතානායකතුමනි 22 වන ආණ්ඩුක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථා සංශෝධන පනත් කෙටුම්පත මම ඉදිරිපත් කරමි.
ගරු නියෝජ්‍ය කතානායකතුමනි උදේගම්මන් පිළමැතිතුමා ඉදිරිපත් කරපු 22 වන ආණ්ඩුක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථා සංශෝධන යෝජනාව මම ස්ථිර කරනවා.
During parliamentary proceedings, the opposition questioned the government about the recent salary increments of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka.
සෙන්ට්‍රල් බැංක් එකේ සේවය කරන අයගේ පඩි 70%කින් වැඩි කරගෙන මේක මහා බැංකු පනතට විරුද්ධයි. මම ඉල්ලීමක් කරනවා ගරු ඇමතුමාගේ මේ මහා බැංකු කට්ටිය පාර්ලිමේන්තු කමිටු එකකට ගේන්න කියලා පක්ෂ නායකයන්
බොහොම ස්තුතියි ඔබතුමාට.
කරන්න ඕන.
මම එවලේ මහ බැංකුවේ විමසීමක් කරා. එවැනි පරස්පරයක් භාවිතා කරලා මේක කරාද? ඕන් මට එවලා තියෙන වාර්තාව ඕන් කිසිසේත්ම එවැනි දෙයක් කරලා නැහැ.
මම ගරු ඇමතුමාගෙන් ඉල්ලන්නේ එකම ඉල්ලීමයි. ඔය බැංකු පනත කියවලා මට පෙන්වන්න ඒ අයට ඒ අයගේ පඩිය වැඩි කරගන්න අයිතිය තියෙන්නේ මොන වගන්තියද කියලා.
23 පාලක මණ්ඩලය විසින් මහ බැංකුවේ සේවා නියුක්තියන් පත් කිරීම සහ ඉවත් කිරීම කළ හැකි අතර ඔවුන්ගේ පාරිශ්‍රමික ඇතුළුව ඔවුන්ගේ සේවා නියුක්ති නියම සහ කොන්දේසි නිශ්චය කළ හැකිය. මම මේක ඔබතුමාට එවන්නම්.
ගණන නිශ්චය කරන්න පුළුවන්. නමුත් පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට එන්න ඕන. මෙතන කියලා නෑ මේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ මුදල් බලය ඉවත් කරනවා කියලා නෑ. මේ නිලධාරීන් කැඳවන්න පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ කොමිටියකට.
පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ තියෙන අයිතිවාසිකම් තුල ඒ සියලු කටයුතු කරන්න කියලා මම ආරාධනා කරා. ඒක ගැටලුවක් නෑ. මහ බැංකුව එදාට වැඩිය පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට වගකීමට දැන් බැඳිලා ඉන්නවා.
ආයතනයක් ස්වාධීන කියලා මේ රටේ සල්ලි උපයන මුදල් ඒ ආයතන වලට හිමි වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඒවා හිමි වෙන්නේ මේ රටේ ජනතාවට. මූල්‍ය පාලනය පිළිබඳව අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම සෙන්ට්‍රල් බැංක් එක වක් කියන්න ඕන මේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට. එහෙම වක් කියන්නේ නැහැ කියලා කියනවනම් අපි අලුතෙන් ව්‍යවස්ථා සංශෝධනයක් ගෙනල්ලා හරි නීති රීති සංශෝධනය කළා හරි මේ කාරණේ අපි නිවැරදි කළ යුතුමයි.
Meanwhile, in Parliament yesterday, independent parliamentarian Vimal Veeravansa cast blame on Tourism Minister Harin Fernando and questioned a statement the minister made while addressing a travel fair in Mumbai in India.
Harin Fernando ඉන්දියාවට ගිහිල්ලා කරපු කතාවේ කියනවා ලංකාවේ ඉන්දියාවේ පාර්ට් එකක් කියලා. ඒක වැරදිලා කියවිච්ච එකක් නෙවෙයි. දැන් මේ කරමින් යන්නේ ඒක. ටෙලිකොම් එක දෙන යනවා ඉන්දියානු සමාගමට. විදුලි බල මණ්ඩලය කෑලි වලට කඩලා ඉන්දියානු සමාගම වලට දෙනවා. අදානීට මන්නාර සුනිත්‍ය බල අධිකාරිය දෙනවා. ඒ බල ආයතන දෙනවා. හරින් ෆර්නෑන්ඩෝම කියනවානේ අපේ එයාපෝට් තුනක් දෙනවා ඕගොල්ලොන්ට. වරායවල් දෙනවා. ඉතින් ඔය ඔක්කොම දුන්නා මන්තිමට ඉතුරු වෙන්නේ මොකක්ද?
In Parliament today, the tourism minister responded to the claims made by Vimal Veeravansa.
ලංකා ඉතිහාසයේ වැඩිම සංචාරක පිරිසක් ඉන්දියාවෙන් එන මොහොතකදී ඉන්දියාවත් එක්ක තියෙන ඉතිහාසයේ සම්බන්ධතාවයත් එක්ක බලනකොට වචනයක් කතා කරනකොට ශ්‍රී ලංකා is a part of India කියන එක ව්‍යවස්ථානුකූලව වැරදි දෙයක් කියලා අර්ථකථනය කළා අමු ගවයෙක් මේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ හිටියා කියන එක මම මේ අවස්ථාවේදී මතක් කරන්නට ඕනේ. ඒ ගැන මම කනගාටු වෙනවා. ඉන්දියන් ක්‍රෙඩිට් ලයින් එක දෙනකොට it is good. ඉන්දියාව අපිට බෙහෙත් නැතකොට ඉන්දියාව බෙහෙත් දෙනකොට it's good. ඉන්දියාවේ ටූරිස්ට් ලංකාවට එනකොට ඉන්දියාව is good. But when I ask Indians to come and invest in Sri Lanka, that's bad. Dubai රාජ්‍ය ගත්තොත්, සිංගප්පූර් රාජ්‍ය ගත්තොත්, මැලේසියාව රාජ්‍ය ගත්තොත් දියුණු වෙලා තියෙන්නේ කොහොමද කියලා හැවුවොත් ආයෝජකයෝ රටට ඇවිල්ලා through investment. So asking the ITC hotel that is being built in front of Golface right next to Taj Samudra is the first Indian hotel that is being opened out of India. That's an investment. How would a country develop without investment? මං ඉතාමත්ම ලැජ්ජ වෙනවා දේශපාලන ඒ දෙබිඩි පිළිවෙත ගැන. India's foreign state secretary mentioned that whoever wants to travel out of the country first travel to Sri Lanka. What a brilliant statement. Am I not to say Sri Lanka and India is a part of each other? Because we have a huge history. Investing in Sri Lanka and selling the country is two different things. We were not selling the country. We would invite any country to invest in Sri Lanka at this moment. But I am proud to say we have turned around the tourism. The numbers have been increasing. The forward bookings looks amazingly good and Sri Lanka is walking on the right direction.
Well, the Iranian Foreign Minister Dr. Hussein Amir Abdullahian engaged in discussions with President Ranil Wickremesinghe yesterday, signifying the commitment of both nations in addressing regional conflicts and advancing mutual interests through diplomatic cooperation.
And during the meeting, President Wickremesinghe reiterated the Sri Lanka government's firm stance on the Gaza conflict, emphasizing the immediate necessity for violent cessation and a peaceful settlement, and further proposed the establishment of a Palestinian state within a span of 5 years.
Meanwhile, during the meeting, the visiting Iranian foreign minister expressed Iran's dedication towards fostering Sri Lanka's tourism industry and further deepening the cultural ties between the two nations.
On the 19th of February, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Islamic Republic of Iran, Dr. Hossein Amir Abdul Ahyan, arrived in Sri Lanka on a 3-day official visit. The visiting minister, who arrived on an invitation extended by the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Sri Lanka, Ali Sabri, engaged in bilateral talks with the State Minister of Foreign Affairs, Taraka Balasuriya, Foreign Minister, President's Counsel Ali Sabri, and Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena recently. Meanwhile, last evening, the Iranian Foreign Minister also met with President Ranil Wickremesinghe at the Presidential Secretariat. During the meeting, President Wickremesinghe reiterated the Sri Lankan government's firm stance on the Gaza conflict, emphasizing the immediate necessity for violence cessation and a peaceful settlement. In addition, President Ranil Wickremesinghe further proposed the establishment of a Palestinian state within a span of 5 years, ensuring the security of both Palestine and Israel. The President further emphasized the nation's commitment towards ensuring freedom of navigation, particularly in the Persian Gulf, and stressed the vital role played by the Persian Gulf in the security of the Indian Ocean. Meanwhile, in response, the Iranian Foreign Minister expressed Iran's dedication towards fostering Sri Lanka's tourism industry and the further deepening of cultural ties between the two nations. He further conveyed the willingness of Iran in exploring more avenues to expand economic cooperation with Sri Lanka.
In the latest on the debt restructuring process, Sri Lanka has forwarded a new restructuring plan proposal to dollar bondholders in a bid to restructure the country's commercial debt. Bloomberg, quoting entities familiar with the matter, stated that a counter-proposal to bondholder groups offered in October for a 20% haircut and the issuance of macro-linked bonds as conveyed through Lazard, the official financial advisors for Sri Lanka's debt restructuring process initiative. Last year, China and the official creditor committee, which comprised of the Paris Club of Creditor Nations, India and Japan, agreed to restructure debt in principle with Sri Lanka. While Sri Lanka is expecting to sign official agreements with bilateral creditors, Sri Lanka commenced negotiations on restructuring private debt as the final step of restructuring the island nation's debt. According to the central bank, Sri Lanka will resume debt servicing following the conclusion of the whole debt restructuring program, enabling the country to repay debt at a lower rate.
Well, Minister of Power and Energy, Kanchana Wijesekara, says that the new electricity tariff proposal that can provide relief to consumers will be submitted by the Ceylon Electricity Board to the Public Utilities Commission tomorrow. The minister further said that the CEB, via the new proposal, expects to reduce rates by at least the same rates and percentages it was originally increased to in October of 2023.
On the 12th of January this year, the Ceylon Electricity Board handed over a proposal to revise the prevailing electricity tariffs to the country's power and energy regulator, the Public Utilities Commission. In the proposal, the Ceylon Electricity Board confirmed that it had analysed all possible scenarios to approach the best estimate of expenditure and revenue, considering a number of factors including existing tariffs, the availability of coal and oil field stocks, future fuel prices and hydro inflow variations. According to the CEB, they estimate a surplus of 23.73 billion rupees and added that the surplus can be used to reduce the average tariff by 3.34%. The CEB stated that the new tariff proposal has been prepared with the intention of granting relief to low-income vulnerable communities and the entities of economically important businesses based on the policy instructions of the Ministry of Power and Energy. Based on the proposal, the Public Utilities Commission held public consultations last week to ascertain public opinion on the electricity tariffs prior to their revision. With that setting the stage, a meeting between the officials of the CEB and the Minister of Power and Energy Kanchana Wijesekara was held today, and a decision was made to submit a new proposal to the Public Utilities Commission in an attempt to provide more relief to consumers. Speaking at Parliament today, the minister said the CEB expects to reduce rates by at least the same rates and percentages it was originally increased by in October of 2023.
පහුගිය අවුරුදු පහේ නොලැබිච්ච වර්ෂාපතනයක් අපිට ලැබෙනවා ඔක්තෝබර් මාසේ, නොවැම්බර් මාසේ, දෙසැම්බර් මාසේ, ජනවාරි. යම් සහනයක් ලැබෙනවා විදුලි බල මණ්ඩලයට විදුලිය ජනනය කිරීම සඳහා. ලාභිකුත් ලැබෙනවා විදුලි බල මණ්ඩලයට. ඒ නිසාම තමයි අපි දෙසැම්බර් මාසේ යෝජනා කරන්නේ ඒ සහනය ජනතාවට ලබා දීම සඳහා නැවත වතාවක් අපි පෙබරවාරි මාසේ ගාස්තු සංශෝධනයක් කිරීමට අපිට අවසර දෙන්න කියලා. ඒ අනුව අපි පහුගිය සතියේ අපි මහජනෝපිතා කොමිසමට දැනුවත් කරා, මම සොන්ද කැබිනට් මණ්ඩලයට දැනුවත් කරා. අපි කලින් දීපු යෝජනාවට වැඩිය අපිට තව අඩු කරන්න පුළුවන් තැන් කීපයක් දැන් අපිට තියෙනවා. ඒතර විදුලි බල
මණ්ඩලයේ නිලධාරීන් හදපු සංඛ්‍යා ලේඛන ඇතුලේ ඔවුන් අපිට දැන් දැනුවත් කරා හෙට ඒ යෝජනාව ලබා දෙනවා මහජන උපිතා කොමිසමට අවම වශයෙන් හෙට ලබා දෙන සංශෝධන ඇතුලේ සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම ඔක්තෝබර් මාසයේ වැඩි කරපු මිල අපි සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම අයින් කරන්න අපි කටයුතු කරනවා කියන එක. ඒ කියන්නේ ගෘහස්ත කාණ්ඩෙත් අපේ ආගමික සිද්ධාස්ථානවල ඔක්තෝබර් මාසයේ වැඩි කරපු 18%ම අපි අයින් කරන්න. අවම වශයෙන් කර්මාන්ත ශාලා සහ හෝටල් වලට වැඩි කරපු 12% අවම වශයෙන් අඩු කරන්න. ඒ වගේම පොදු කාර්යයන් සහ රජයේ ගොඩනැගිලි වලට තියෙන අවම වශයෙන් ඒ 24% අඩු කරන්න. ඊටත් වැඩිය පුළුවන් නම් ඒ යෝජනාව හෙට හදලා දෙන්න තමයි අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ.
Now, Minister of Public Security Derana English says that despite the Online Safety Act being recently passed in Parliament and endorsed by Speaker Mahinda Abewardana, it is still not in effect until the President appoints the Online Safety Commission. At a media briefing today, the Minister confirmed that contrary to rumours of legalised suppression, the public still retains the right to criticise the actions of the government and officials without spreading misinformation or defaming individuals under the Act. He also added that the recent arrests in the country carried out over the past few weeks were under the existing law of the country and not under provisions of the Online Safety Act.
US State Department එකේ Under Secretary කියලා තියෙනවා online safety bill එක නිසා රජය සූදානම් වෙනවා මාධ්‍ය මර්ධනය කරන්න. ඒක අපේ රටේ democracy වලට අභියෝග වෙනවා කියලා.
එකක් තමයි මේ Under Secretary මම හිතන්නේ මේක හරියට කියවලා නැතුව කතා කරලා තියෙන්නේ. සාමාන්‍යව කියන කතා අහගෙන ඉඳලා මොන හරි කියලා තියෙනවා. ඒ Under Secretary කියනවා මේ ඒ statement එකේ තිබුණා දැන් amendments උත් මොකද්ද කියලා බලන්න ඕනේ කියලා. ඉතින් මම කියන්නේ මේ පනත ගැන බය වෙන්න ඕනේ සමාජ මාධ්‍ය ජාලය පාවිච්චි කරලා වැරදි දෙයක් කරන උදවිය පමණයි. හරි දේ කියන්න ආණ්ඩුව විවේචනය කරන්න මාව විවේචනය කරන්න හරි ෆැක්ට්ස් එක්ක කාටවත් ප්‍රශ්නයක් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. බොරු දාන්න බෑ. කාගේ හරි චරිත ඝාතනය කරන්න බොරුවට කතා හදලා එහෙම කරන්න බෑ. එවැනි අය විතරයි මේ පනත ගැන බය වෙන්න ඕනේ. එහෙම නැත්නම් මේ පනත ගැන කවුරුත් බය වෙ යුතු නැහැ.
Do you see a significant change in the online after the bill was passed, and how many people so far have been arrested?
You know, the online bill, that's the mistake somebody made recently when I said at a meeting that we arrested one person and gave some details. I never referred to the online bill because the online bill is passed, but still the commission has not been appointed. So the president has to appoint the commission. Until then, this is not effective yet. So the arrests what we have done even in the last week or two are on our normal law.
We want to bring that story which we told you earlier on about Derana winning a lot of awards at the Sumati Awards this time around. Now, Derana reiterates his dominance as a leader and frontrunner of television and news as it was adjudged the People's News Provider of the Year at the 29th Sumati Awards of this year.
The award further solidifies the complete trust placed in us by the people of Sri Lanka, which we harness and steward with the utmost responsibility and gratitude in a world where misinformation thrives.
Now, the Derana Media Network, which dominated the awards night yesterday, secured multiple awards, including the award for the Best Television Investigative News Reporting and the 2022 and 2023 years.
The 29th edition of the Sumati Awards ceremony, one of the most popular television award ceremonies in Sri Lanka, played out in grandeur last evening. The award ceremony witnessed the attendance of a number of celebrated skilled personalities representing a wide range of fields. This year's awards recognize the most loved personalities and remarkable television programs aired in 2022 and 2023. Reaffirming its excellence amongst its peers, the Derana Media Group dominated the awards tally for the night. In a significant moment of pride for Ada Derana, the channel was adjudged the winner of the Best Television News Bulletin for the 2022 year.
2022 වසරේ හොඳම රූපවාහිනී ප්‍රවෘත්ති විකාශය Ada Derana.
In another outstanding achievement, Ada Derana's Ukussa won the award for the Best Television Investigative News Reporting Award for the 2022 and 2023 years. The award was received by Dinendra Ransiri. The award for the Best Television Documentary for the 2023 year was secured by the Buddha Patra Vandana. The Best Television Current Affairs Program Award was conferred on Rebuild Sri Lanka. The Kids Academy of Ada Derana was awarded the Best Television Educational Program for the 2023 year. Meanwhile, TV Derana's Paramal Suwada scooped the award for the Best Teledrama Single Episode last night. In another significant move, Gusma of Derana Macro Entertainment, the digital arm of TV Derana, won big at the ceremony, securing 3 awards for the Best CSR Program, Best National Interest Program and Best Current Affairs Program in the social media category. In addition, Aragalayan Upan Atite of Ada Derana picked up the award for the Best Heritage Program in the same category. Vadapitiya of Ada Derana received the first runner-up award for the Best Political Program of 2024. To cap off a star-studded event with much-needed gratitude for the trailblazers who pioneered the stage, and in a heartfelt moment during the awards night yesterday, the UW Sumatipala Lifetime Achievement Award for creative contributions of outstanding artistic significance were awarded to veteran film director and playwright Dharmasiri Bandaranaike and veteran artist Priya Suryasena.
That was an emotional award right there. But from that, we go into some tragic news. A 26-year-old who served as the assistant lecturer at the Colombo University tragically succumbed to her injuries after being knocked down by a lorry travelling in the Vikramasingapura junction in Battramula area recently.
Meanwhile, a shootout which occurred in Mahabaghe left a 42-year-old individual dead this morning. The Mahabaghe police have initiated a manhunt to apprehend the 2 individuals who opened fire on the deceased.
With that, here's a look at more news across the island in brief.
An assistant lecturer of the Colombo University who was moved down by a lorry which was travelling in the Vikramasingapura junction in Battramula succumbed to her injuries upon admission to the Colombo National Hospital. Victim named Lakmini Bogamo was on her way to the university to report for work when she met with this fatal accident. Following this tragic incident, the injured was rushed to the National Hospital. The driver of the lorry has since been taken into custody. In the meantime, a shootout in Mahabaghe left a 42-year-old dead this morning. According to police, 2 unidentified assailants who arrived on a motorcycle this morning opened fire using a revolver near a meat shop at the Alpitivala junction in Mahabaghe. However, the victim succumbed to injuries upon admission to the Colombo North National Teaching Hospital in Ragama. Mahabaghe police is conducting further investigations into the incident to apprehend the assailants. In other local news, 43 individuals were apprehended by police along with narcotics in Tambuttegama recently. Accordingly, the arrest was made during a drug raid conducted in conjunction with the ongoing Yukti operation.
The National Consumer Price Index rose to 6.5% in January compared to 4.2% recorded in December this year. This was followed by the VAT increment of 3% from 15 to 18% with effect from January 2024.
Now, the Department of Census and Statistics said year-on-year inflation of the food groups increased to 4.1% in January from 1.6% from the previous month. Now, data further showed that the year-on-year inflation in the non-food group increased to 8.5% during the month.
The overall rate of inflation, as measured by the National Consumer Price Index on a year-on-year basis, increased to 6.5% in January compared to 4.2% recorded in last December. According to the Department of Census and Statistics, the year-on-year inflation of the food group increased to 4.1% during the month from 1.6% in December 2023, while the non-food group inflation increased to 8.5% from 6.3%. Meanwhile, the contribution of food commodities to inflation was 1.86% in January compared to the corresponding period in 2023. The contribution of non-food commodities was recorded at 4.66% following the price increases in alcoholic beverages, tobacco and narcotics category, and the housing, water, electricity, gas and other fuels category.
Well, let's take you to the Colombo Stock Exchange. Now, the Colombo Stock Exchange closed its session in green today, aided by gains in consumer staples and discretionary stocks. Now, the benchmark all-share index settled up 0.1% at the close of the session at 10,649.30 points. Now, the Nescorp PLC and Ceylon Tobacco Company PLC were the top gainers on the index, gaining 3.69% and 2% respectively. However, the index trading volume saw a decrease from 36.8 million shares in the previous session to 35.6 million shares today. Meanwhile, the S&P SL20 ended the session 0.05% higher at 3,070.37 points. Equity market turnover was recorded at 880.09 million rupees, up from 815.6 million rupees in the previous session. Now, the top contributors to turnover was the capital goods sector, while the food, beverage and tobacco sector came in second. Foreign investors were net sellers, offloading stocks worth 86.5 million rupees, while domestic investors were net buyers, purchasing shares worth 804.6 million rupees.
And that's all the news we have for tonight.
Thank you very much for watching. We appreciate your company. We'll see you tomorrow at the same time. I'm Mahesh Johnny.
And I'm Indiveri Amwatha. Good night.